Good now time to everybody. Hope everybody's good. Let me just sort out music. We have the playlist today is the sexy indie. It's pretty good though. Let me just get it going on here. There we go. Oops, oh, wait, wrong thing. Just need to get me myself small over there. There we go. Alright, I'm all sorted out. Let's see. As above, so below is here. Yolandi's here. Arena, Tracy, welcome. Thanks for joining. I hope everybody's good. As always, just let me know about the sound, if you can hear the music alright, if you can hear me alright. It looks like everything's okay on my side. Internet is behaving by the looks of it, so that's good. Johanna, hello. Good stuff, alright. I have to play around with the volume of the music because it's a different volume on here than it is going through my headphones. So if you can't hear the music, just let me know. I'll turn it up slightly. Yeah, it's weird on my side. It's still saying that I haven't even started the live yet. YouTube's a bit strange when it comes to this. Okay. Alright. Let's see. So, things I can tell you about until we really get going. Johanna said can hear the music, but it's not too loud. I'll turn it up very slightly, otherwise it just overpowers everything. Hopefully that's okay. Alright, so the first thing I do want to mention is the video lesson. So for those who have joined me on Patreon on the temple tiers specifically, doing the first degree training of the Temple of the Horn Serpent, you'll notice that I have started doing, I'm calling them video lessons. I've uploaded the cleansing and protection magic video this past week, and Patreon's got this new thing, so I can add something to a tier that people already subscribe to, and I can take that and I can sell it to the public for people who are not subscribed to any other tiers. So it's pretty good because then the people on the tiers can still get the content, but I can sell them separately as well, so it's quite nice. Hopefully that will get more people interested in what's going on in the temple as well in the training. But that's on Patreon at the moment, so that was the protection magic is part of the first month training, so that's why I did that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a topic from each month and then just create a video. I mean, they're long videos. This past one was like almost 2.5 hours, and then I'll do a video that goes a bit more in depth into a topic for that month. So next month is I'm going to do ancestral veneration and go really in depth in that topic, which just adds more value to the training itself. So if anybody's interested, the Patreon link is on the screen there, patreon.com/Lee W. Johnson 164, and you can sign up as a free member, and you get all the basic stuff. You kind of get an idea of what the temple material's about with the free member sign up thingy-majobby. And then if you're interested, you can join one of the tiers for the temple and do the training, the full training. Richard is here. Hello Richard, thanks for joining. And Johanna said, I'm glad I found your channel. Oh, good stuff. I'm glad you found it too. I was actually going to come on tonight and say, I reached 10,000 subscribers finally, but the whole day it's been 3. I've needed 3 freaking people to subscribe. Otherwise I would have had 10,000. Just 3 people. Anyway, we'll get there tomorrow. Alright, so if anybody has not been on the Covenstead before, this is just Covenstead really is just witches getting together and talking about whatever they want to. So if you have any comments, any questions, anything you want me to address, just let me know in the chat, and we can talk about it and just chat. Really, it's just chat about whatever. There's no specific thing. But there was actually something that came up in the comments which I thought was quite interesting. My first reaction was a bit different to my second reaction. Somebody asked about the, I don't know if anybody's watched Agatha All Along, I think it's called. I can see it. Yeah, but I've got my live chat on. Why am I not? Oh, sorry, I've skipped it. I think there are YouTube issues today. Are there? Okay, just let me know if the YouTube stuff just carries on. Not much I can do about YouTube though. Anyway, alright, so the Agatha All Along, the Witch Road. And that's basically what the whole series is about. Somebody actually asked me in the comments to make a video about the Witch Road because their coven wanted to know if it was a real thing. And you know, my first reaction obviously was, it's Marvel, it's fiction. No, you know. And we know Marvel does like to embellish a lot, and there's a lot of stuff that's completely and utterly false. I mean, the idea of sigils in there is just complete misinterpretation, mistranslation of what a sigil actually is. But anyway, I was thinking about it afterwards, and I thought, hang on, the Witch Road, you have a group of witches who are getting together in order to sing a song, which, I mean, when you go into specific, you know, very like folk magic stuff, traditional witchcraft stuff, you find a lot of the chants and the rhymes, the charms and things like that are very much sung. A lot of things are actually sung because we have this idea of creating vibration, which then influences other things within our environment. So, you know, we sing charms usually, or we may chant something which usually comes out as a tune or something like that. So there's that aspect to it, which I thought, you know, we can add into that. And then they opened a road in the ground. I mean, it wasn't like it kind of opened up at a wall. There was a door in the ground which led down into the underworld. Again, really, really interesting. And then the whole idea of the Witch Road is to go through these trials and tribulations to kind of reach your power, sort of thing. And that's kind of what witches do. I mean, that's the journey. That's, you know, you go through all these trials and tribulations to keep going and keep going through each door until you get to, well, there's no end to it really, so I think the metaphorical aspect of it was actually really good, really interesting. But yes, it is fiction. Johanna said you are watching it. Okay, the show is fun and witchy though. It's a fun show, but just bear in mind it definitely is fiction and there's a lot of false things in there. Shadow work in the underworld. I wouldn't say. I think you do kind of need to do shadow work you do shadow work to really get to know yourself. I'm not really one of these people who purport or talk about shadow work a lot. I'm kind of one of the older crowd people, and it was more kind of like know thyself back then. But basically the same as shadow work. You get to know yourself a lot better. Not just, I mean, there's I think a lot of people say that shadow work is specifically for knowing the negative things about yourself, but it's not. It's also the positive things about yourself. It's things that you hide in the shadows, things you don't want people to see, or even sometimes yourself. That can be light or dark, it can be good or bad, positive, negative. Sometimes we have these positive things that make our ego go crazy, which we want to kind of hide from people. That's kind of where shadow work goes, very Jungian ideology. But in the underworld really is the other world, the lower world, the world which is the other side. It's the opposite. You've got your mundane, your physical, the illusion that we live in, the consensual reality, and then you move into the underworld, into the other world. That's where you go interact with all the spirits and the ancestors and the fae and all those things. I kind of agree. Okay. As above, so below. What is the track playing right now, Lee? Super trippy. Let's have a look. It's at the moment, there is a bit of a delay on YouTube. So right now it's Alessis McGee by McGee. The previous one was Sexy Boy by Air. There you go. Yeah. So that's basically that. There was actually something I was curious about as well. I think it was on the last Covenstead that we did, or maybe it was when we chatted on the end of the Cauldron live. Something came up regarding my understanding of what happens after we die, and I mentioned the cosmic soup. All our souls get dumped into the cosmic soup, and it all get mixed up, and then at some point a big blob gets taken out, which could be a mixture of all different souls, not just a pure soul. And I noticed some people said that they find that terrifying, and I've never actually thought of it as terrifying, and so I was very curious about that, so I was thinking about it. And I could be wrong with this, so maybe have a think about it and tell me if I am wrong or not. But there's a possibility that we get so fixated and held onto the concept of I, and this obviously falls into getting mastery of the ego self and things like that. But we have this concept of I which we fixate on, and to lose that identity, that individual identity, the I-ness of ourselves, is terrifying. It's very terrifying. And this whole concept of the cosmic soup and getting mixed up with all these millions and trillions of other souls, and then getting pulled out again with a mixture of souls, not just a pure soul, takes that I-ness away from us, the me aspect. So I thought that might be a possibility of why that would be considered terrifying. But let me know what you think. Demonosophia is here. Hello, greetings all, Uncle Lee. And there's people outside today. Uncle Lee and rock and roll. How's everyone doing? Oh, they're good. I'm good. I was actually going to put another playlist on, which was 60s and 70s rock, I think. But I thought this one might be a bit different. Elizabeth Sobilo, doing great. Love when we all get together like this. Highlight of the day. I might do this more often. I think I did have a previous engagement every other week, but I think that's gone now. So I might do this more often. Depends. I'll obviously see how time goes and all those things. I do enjoy doing this, so I'll probably do it anyway. So we might do this every week until further notice. Yolandi, the cosmic soup could explain why more than one person claimed to be the same person in the previous photo. Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, I think a lot of people like to claim that they are a famous person, but at the same time, I think a lot of people who do claim, that lots of people claim to be the same person. in a new incarnation in this life now, it's valid. It's not something that's, everybody's kind of hoping they are. So yeah, it does explain it. Arena, hello Arena. I find the cosmic soup theory scary for many reasons. Losing me is one of them, but I also dislike the thought of not having a choice and no control. Okay, alright, that also makes sense. Yeah, I can understand that. Marvel, hello Marvel. Hello, are you there? I'm here. Are you there? Johanna, I've found myself increasingly interested in Hecate. Is she your matron? I do consider to be I call her my witch mother. So yeah, same thing really in interpretation, yeah. She is. I did try to reject her for several years, but she insisted, so I gave up in the end. As it was so below, I feel like we don't have a choice in the soup. Everything and everyone are all just simply being experienced whether we like or not. Yeah. I'm not sure we do get a choice in a lot of things really. We actually had kind of fell into a discussion on Friday in the Fate versus Free Will on Into the Wildwood. The whole idea of coming into this existence, we don't actually have a choice of where we go. There are some people who believe that we do, that we choose the family that we're going to get born into and the life we're going to have and all of these things. But yeah, it's probably, I'd say it is more of a case of we don't have a choice. We just get put into something and, that's it. Dragon of the West, can you attain spiritual immortality through magic and avoid the cosmic soup? You can. There's various ways to look at this, and some of them, most of them, for me at least, are a bit confusing. I think there's a point that my understanding gets to and it kind of like breaks down after a while, but two ways that I have come across this being mentioned is firstly in traditional witchcraft, where you go through this process of the cosmic soup in each lifetime. You get taken out and put into a new body and everything else, and through that process you become purer and purer and purer. This is actually an explanation that Peter Padden gave on this particular thing. And as you get purer and purer, eventually what gets taken out is a pure soul, and you become a master man, or become part of the master, what's called the master men. Other people might call it ascended masters. So you get removed from that whole system of rebirth and all of that stuff and whatnot. Something to that effect, anyway. And then the other one was in an explanation of Toltec warrior path, where the whole idea of the Toltecs, the path itself, is to regain your power and your energy. And you go exercises, you do all the stuff you do. Impeccability is a very big thing in Toltec path, and what that means, impeccability specific to the warrior, is to reserve your energy, to not use your energy unwisely, and to keep regaining your energy. So one big practice is recapitulation. The understanding is that we connect energy threads to people we meet. And I've got a whole theory about this in our modern times regarding social media and stuff, but let's not get there now. So you connect energy threads with the people you meet and the places that you go to, and it creates memory. And it's those connections we pass energy backwards and forwards between ourselves and the other people. And the idea with recapitulation is to give that person's energy back to them and take your energy back, your power, and then disconnect. So you're not transferring energy, you're not wasting energy, you are pulling your energy or your awareness back to yourself. And the idea is you do this until you've regained all of your power or all of your awareness. And then at the point of death, or the point of passing over, you basically leap into the otherworld, the unknown. But for somebody who hasn't done this, the idea is that you get consumed by the eagle. So their interpretation of the eagle, going into a lot of Toltec now, their interpretation of the eagle is that everything is made up of energy filaments and threads, okay, like the entire cosmos, the entire universe. And it goes into bodies and forms bodies, and it's just this mesh of energy thread which just connects everything. And there's a point where everything comes and converges into one point, and it resembles that energy formation resembles an eagle. So that's why they say you get consumed by the eagle. It's not really, you're getting consumed physically. Your awareness gets consumed by the eagle when you die, and that's when you go through the process again. So with a Toltec warrior who's been through the whole process of recapitulation, gaining their power back, all of this stuff, the idea is to do this in order to bypass the eagle, and then you become a linear being. And that's kind of like that's the point where my reasoning kind of has a bit of a battle. So something I can't experience at this point in my life anyway, so that's probably why I can't explain it. I am a skeptic by nature, so I hope that explains all that anyway. Okay, Richard, doing this weekly would be awesome. The cosmic soup theory is fine for me. It's been a concept I've lived with pretty much most of my life. Okay, that's cool. I like that. And Tracy, hello Tracy. Oh, I did say hello earlier. I never have chosen my family. There you go. So yeah, some people get put into situations that they definitely wouldn't have chosen. We think we wouldn't have chosen anyway, but so therefore we don't really have that choice. This is where the whole argument of fate and free will starts to come in. But it's even that concept there's nothing fixed on it. You're not like at a particular point on the scale, and that's the way you choose to go your entire life. There's always a wibbly wobbly slope. Johanna, that seems pretty essential to me to take your power back. Yeah, but this is not really just the idea of taking your power back by asserting yourself. This is taking the energy that you share with people. It's not like somebody's taking your power from you. This is a shared experience. We take power from them, they take power from us. So this is about the whole thing of disconnecting from everybody we can possibly disconnect from, and transferring that power back to us. Jack, hello Jack. Have you ever talked to Pazuzu? I actually haven't. I was planning to work with him, and there was just no interest from both sides, not just from my side or his side. It was just both sides. He formed part of my compass at one stage, but as I said, the interest just wasn't there, so never had those conversations really. Dragon of the West, are there beings that act like the archons that feed off us and keep us enslaved? I don't think so. There are obviously lower energy vibrational entities, astral parasites, such entities that would keep us enslaved if they're attached to us, but that's something with magic we work to overcome. Other than that, we have our ego self, which with magic we learn to master. So in my concept, no, I wouldn't say there is. If you are a magic user and you are using magic, you're doing it to overcome all of these things, to be freed, in a sense. At the same time, this is where interpretation of language comes in important, because what do we mean by enslaved? In some instances, we kind of want to be enslaved if we consider that enslavement to be joined with. In some terms, it can be a negative word where we are being trapped and we are not allowed to move. We are being controlled and forced into something. In another sense, enslavement can be a positive thing. It can be where we are united, we are joined, we are not separate from something else. We are together with something else, and that's something that's positive. That's something we kind of want in magic, to have that balance and that union. So, from the negative perspective, I would say no. In my worldview, anyway, no, definitely doesn't exist. Johanna, take your control of your energy, basically. Yeah, it's a bit more than that, though. It really is about. It's not even control. It is taking your energy back. It's almost, if we put it in like simple terms, if you were to go to your neighbor and give him all of your money, physically give him all of your money, and then walk away. This would be kind of like going to your neighbor the next day and saying, can I have 20% of my money back? And then they give you 20% back. And then you do that over and over again until you get 100% of your money back. So it's not really control, it's just you've shared something, given something, and therefore you are now taking it back so that you can become whole, an entire energetic person. It is a concept from one particular tradition. Obviously, not everybody follows the same thing. Interpretations may change here and there. Demon Sophia, since you mentioned it before, Lee, do you consider the ego as to be a part of our shadow self? No, not really. What are we talking about shadow self though? In shadow self for me is kind of like the shadow of the nefesh, the lower self. But that's more of a... Yeah, actually, wait, hang on. Let me rethink. Hold on, please. Brain is working. I think it is working. In some regards, we can actually consider that. If we're saying the shadow self is the shadow of the lower self, the nefesh, then it is quite possible that particular shadow body is the ego self. Each, in Kabbalistic terms anyway, and this is where my interpretation of the soul parts actually sits. We have the basic three, we have others, but we have the basic three, the lower, middle and upper. And each one has a shadow self, but the shadow self or the shadow body of the lower self is the most dense one, which is why we can work with it. And that can often be interpreted as the ego self. I do possibly think that the ego self is the part that stays behind after death, as the kind of like the phantasm, and it does dissolve after a while unless people keep it fed. But again, this comes down to interpretation of particular words and things like that, so a bit difficult to say. Arena, in theory, could a god or daemon maybe save you from the soup, in your opinion? They'd surely need a very good reason to do that, but could it be possible for them to keep you around? I'd say absolutely no, because they also go back into the soup eventually. Gods and demons are not immortal, as in they live forever and ever and ever. They just have a different type of body, a different type of soul, really, but I think everything goes back into the soup. We always kind of just refer to it as the souls being humans and animals and stone people and all of those things, but I mean there's things beyond the physical world that have souls. Probably an animistic perspective also. But yeah, no, I don't think they are. You know, the gods and the demons are not all powerful. They are just part of the entirety of what everything is, and we are also part of that. Yeah, so I'd say no. Johanna, what's your experience with astral parasites and stuff and such? You just have to keep cleaning. I mean, one of the basic foundational stuff in witchcraft and magic is to do your magic and do your cleansing and protection work. And you know, that's one of the first things you should be learning, especially cleansing. We pick up astral parasites all the time. There are a variety of different types of astral parasites. There are a variety of different ways they are formed or created. Some of them come from the other worlds. Some of them are, I would say, thought forms. Quite often they're thought forms, especially if you're working with a lot of people who, you know, may be a bit low on their own energy or depressed or anxious or something like that. You're going to start picking up, they're going to start creating negative energy, and that negative energy kind of starts to move off them. And that's, you know, coming back to like the shadow body of the lower self. When we touch things, it's actually kind of sticky and it stays on things, which is where, you know, we can transfer this through to contagion magic, for instance. But there's a bit like the same type of thing where somebody's creating negative energy because they're in a negative space, and this kind of get transferred to people. Especially if you brush up against them, you might like pick up some of that negative energy, and that then can start to form into more negative energy on yourself, because you've got this negative energy. It kind of brings your vibrational state down a bit, and then you start getting into a negative state, which is why we do cleansing work. And you can do this every day if you want to. If you take a shower every day or a bath every day, just when you're in the shower or the bath, just wipe off any energetic negativity, as well as physical dirt. You've got your energetic dirt. Sorry, but yeah, there are possibility that some of the astral parasites are dead people who were not very nice during life and therefore are not being fed by their descendants. There's a whole load of reasons why, possible reasons why astral parasites exist and where they come from. But really it's just about keeping yourself clean, doing your cleansing work daily or weekly, or whatever you need to do really. Marvel, can you talk about Marbas? Marbas is an absolutely wonderful entity. I incorporated him a lot in my energy healing work. He gifted me a nice water serpent dragon to help with the healing. Yeah, great entity. Whenever I see Marbas, I think I spoke about this in the Demon of the Week. You know, remember Tony the tiger, the Frosties tiger? He always looks like that, but a lion instead of a tiger. It's just that kind of comic version that I always see when I see Marbas. But yeah, fantastic, wonderful entity. Can cure disease, can also create any disease. Also connected with the mechanical arts, which gets quite interesting because, especially from an energy healing perspective, it can sometimes get down to the point where it becomes mechanical. You know, I know somebody who actually has worked with Marbas in healing itself, and it's almost like the body gets cut into layers, different energy layers, and then they can then work with the particular energy layers, which gets quite interesting. But I remember somebody asking me, I think it was in the comments to the Marbas video actually, so maybe go check there. If you can work with Marbas, and this is actually a few people have asked me this, but can you work with Marbas to fix your car? And when you think about it, the answer has got to be yes, because Marbas is a healer and also connected with the mechanical arts. So you can definitely ask Marbas to help you heal your car, or any mechanical thing, which I found quite interesting actually. So yeah, that's Marbass. Love Marbass. Reagan, hello. How can I get personal daemons to work with? Okay, so I've got this question coming up a lot, and my first question is, how much foundational work have you done? How much and how long as well, and what type of work have you been doing? And when I say foundational work, I'm talking about meditation, breath work, which then leads into things like trance work and starting to understand trance work, how you induce a trance, what it feels like, and all of those things. And also cleansing and protection work, and very, very specifically discernment. You're going to have to learn discernment, and you're going to have to learn it really early, because when you interact with a spirit, you want to make sure it's that spirit and not a parasite that's coming along and acting as an imposter spirit. So discernment gets very important, and testing the spirits gets very important. Otherwise you pick up an astral parasite and you think you're working with the entity you want to work with, and all that's happening is this astral parasite is doing things and saying things, and you are trusting it more and more because it might bring you something that you asked for, and now oh, this has got to be the spirit because they brought me this thing that I wanted. But that just creates trust, and then when that trust is created and the bond is starting to really, really strengthen, then they really dig their claws in and they start creating depression, anxiety, fear, and that's what they feed on. And that gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and the stronger the entity gets, the astral parasite gets, then the stronger the hold is. And then it can get really, really bad if you haven't done your cleansing work and you haven't done your discernment and all of those things. So this is always my first question: how much foundational work have you done? What foundational work have you done, and how long have you done it for? Because some people may say yes, they've done it and they've been doing it for a month. You've got to keep doing it. I mean, at least a year. Some people can progress through these things really quickly. Other people can't. I'm one of those people who really has to work at this stuff to actually get any effects. So I really had to work at the foundational stuff, and it took me years before I thought I could even speak to spirits. So yeah, that's going to be very, very important. And I'm saying this because I keep getting asked the same question over and over again by various people, and when I ask them how much work they've done, it's usually none. They may have picked up a book or been given a book that tells them how to summon a demon, and they tried it and nothing happened. Nothing happened because you haven't prepared yourself. If you haven't prepared yourself, you can also find yourself in a lot of spiritual psychosis. So make sure you're doing that stuff. It is extremely important. Please do it. Okay. I'm not sure if that answered your question or not. But yeah, let's just have a read there again. How can I get personal demons to work with? See, this is why, if you're asking that question, you probably haven't done all that foundational work. I'm just guessing. If I'm wrong, just let me know. But usually that's kind of like, if you've done that, it's not really something you would be asking, because you've already during doing the foundational work, especially when you start doing trance work and stuff like that, you do find that you pick up communications every now and again. So you start to get used to this. And if you're going to start talking with spirits, my suggestion is to start with the ancestors. Some people don't work with the ancestors. I think it is an important thing myself, but everybody's does their own thing. But I think the ancestors are definitely the place to start. They love you, they want to protect you, and once you have your ancestors on your side, they will also help you with discernment. So yeah. Alright, moving on. Johanna, maybe that explains why I feel like I don't want to be around people very much. Yeah, probably. I think a lot of us on this path, especially, are quite often introverts, actually. So no, we don't want to be around people all the time. And we are sharing our energy with people. This is actually the theory of I'm going to launch into a huge explanation about my own worldview here. I need to get this out anyway and write it down somewhere. So I believe that each of us are a universe. And if you have, I'm just going to take an example of two people, myself and somebody else, alright? So they have a perception of who I am, and that is who I am in their universe, and I have a perception of who they are, and that's who they are in my universe. And we have perceptions of everybody we meet, okay? We create perceptions, and we can, we talk about parallel universes and all of that stuff, and moving into parallel universes and experiencing our parallel selves or parallel lives. I think this is just moving or experiencing the perception of yourself from somebody else's universe. Now, this universe is completely us, completely ourselves. It contains everything that we are aware of, and everything we're not aware of, but mostly contains, things we're conscious of anyway. This is what becomes part of our own universe. Now, a lot of people, there's so many gods and goddesses and demons and fae and all these spirits out there with all these different names from all different cultures, and there's no way you can be exposed to all of them. So I may have heard of a spirit that somebody else hasn't heard of. Therefore, that spirit isn't part of their awareness or their consciousness, and therefore isn't part of their universe. We could say it is part of their universe that's just sitting in the back and they're not aware of it yet. But let's just go with the idea that we are, completely oblivious. It doesn't exist in our own personal universe because we haven't become aware of it, haven't become exposed to it. And this is what forms our own island of awareness or intent. I've forgotten the Toltec term now. There's the Nagual and the completely forgotten. It's gone. Anyway, so carry on. So nowadays we are finding a lot of, I think, we are seeing a rise in anxiety and depression and things like that, just generally. And I'm a Gen Xer, I come from that generation. I think a lot of people kind of say, the Gen Xers were kicked out of the house and they had to, they only came in at night time when the sun was going down, and they drank out of hose pipes and all that stuff. I don't remember drinking out of hose pipes myself, but anyway. And we kind of get this idea that Gen Xers are tougher. I don't really think that's the case. I think, apart from, I don't know, there's a lot of aspects that could come into this, but the idea I was going with anyway is that once upon a time, when I was a young boy, there was no internet, okay? And therefore I could only be exposed to X amount of people. I could only become aware of them. I could only be introduced to X amount of people, and those were usually people that were in my environment, at my school, all of these places that I would go to, or that I would be introduced to through my parents or my friends or something like that. Okay, so it's a relatively small group of people if we take the comparison from then to now, which is social media. Now, we may think that as we're scrolling through social media, we're just scrolling through, so we're not actually interacting with people. But the unconscious mind picks every single little bit of data up, and we see people. We scroll. If we just spin the scroll, we may see 10 different people that we didn't see before. These are new people to us. So every now and again we get somebody we've seen before, and they've experienced and watched their videos or watched their social media post or whatever it is, Reddit, whatever. But every now and again we get all of these new people coming, and we're just scrolling and we're getting all these new people, and the unconscious mind picks all of this up. So as we see it, we create a memory. And previously, when I was a kid, I would connect energetically to all that smaller group of people. Now, every time I scroll, I'm connecting with every single person that I scroll past, because I've seen it, the unconscious has picked it up, I'm creating a memory, and therefore I'm energetically connecting. It's not a strong connection, it's not like connection of a friend or something like that, where you're passing immense amounts of energy, but the amount of people, the amount of memories we're creating. You scroll past a picture of a place in a different country, and all of a sudden you've created a memory of that place. Again, you're connecting energetically to it, and the immensity, the amount of connections we are creating, I think, is causing us to be a lot more drained nowadays than we once were. But anyway, that's my theory. I was thinking about the other day. So there we go. Alright, now I've lost my place. Here we go. Arena. Same, I always feel a very strong need to take a shower after being in crowded places. Oh yes, absolutely. You've got to wash off all that muck. As above, so below. I think I've asked this in the past, but do you find Baal and Beelzebub to be the same? I haven't actually... Baal, the first demon of the Goetia, I can't say I've actually worked with that entity. I don't think. There may have been a time briefly, several years ago, but not intensely, not really something I have experienced, but Baal anyway. But Beelzebub I have. Actually, very similar type of energy now that I think about it. Baal is often considered to be the fiery aspect of Baal, and I do find Beelzebub comes through as a very kind of fiery entity actually, so yeah, possibly. The thing we've got to understand there is you've got all these Baals, and Baal just meant Lord. So you've got a variety of different spirits which were all called Baal something. This was, Beelzebub is Baal's above, Zebub, the Lord of the Mount Zebub or something like that. I can't remember exactly now. But you've got all these lords of things, places usually. So there isn't just one Baal or Baal. There are many of them, and I do think in most instances they are different. They're not the same, because it's kind of like saying that Tom, who owns the car shop down the road, is the same as Bob, who owns the car shop on the other side of the road. They're not. They just own the same car shop, but they are lords of their own car shops. That kind of thing. Johanna, I've worried my brain. What's wrong with your brain? Luke's, hello Luke's. Have you ever had any experience with Seth or Typhon? I have never worked with them. I had a bad experience with a group of Setians many years ago, and I think that totally put me off Set and Typhon. It involved a few months of spiritual and psychic and astral attacks, and yeah, I got through it, but gave me a bad taste. Let's put it that way. So no, I don't. Sorry, Johanna. We are interacting like crazy in social media. We are. It's a normal part of our day, our life. So I think maybe we need to find a way to deal with it. I mean, I can't get off social media. It's impossible. I'm on YouTube, for crying out loud. So, just got to find a way to deal with it, interact with it, or counteract it. Let's put it that way. Johanna, I agree, and I'm Gen Z. Yep, good stuff. And Johanna, but I'm connecting a lot more with millennials, but I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, I think, interestingly, I think each generation has particular aspects about themselves which makes them completely and utterly unique. And it's fascinating, actually. I remember several years ago I was reading an article about millennials and it would have been Gen Zers, and how they interact differently in the workplace. Because you still got a lot of companies, especially here in South Africa, who kind of treat the work staff as if they were, you come to work at 9, leave at 5, have a lunch break and a tea break, and that's how you do your work. But they found that with, I think it was millennials, I can't remember exactly, but the best way to get them to interact with their work environment was to not give them a fixed time frame that they had to do their work. Just give them X amount of work. You have this amount of time to do it, maybe a week or whatever, but you can choose whenever you want to work. And they found that the productivity got a lot better because they could work when they were most productive, and the work got done. And previously the work wasn't getting done because they were being forced into work hours that were not productive for them. So things had to adjust. And then there was this whole thing of I think it was Gen Zers, the one after, who were able to interact with multiple devices at the same time. Therefore they could do multiple forms of work at the same time. It became fascinating, but anyway, that's a completely different topic. Tracy, hello Tracy. Have you ever worked with Kali, and if so, have you found her to be identical to Hecate? I have briefly, and no, I think it's very, very different entities, extremely different. They are very similar in nature. If we were to talk about archetypes or molds that the entity the gods and the goddesses come out of, like if we had to compare Kerinos and Pan, for instance, both horned gods but very different beings that came out of the same mold or the same archetype, possibly they came out of the same archetype. They're both mother goddesses, but I find Kali to be very, very different to Hecate. Yolandi, I find that some people just bring out the worst in others with their negative and toxic energies. Yeah, and some people love to do it, unfortunately. In fact, you've got a whole subset of people who enjoy creating negativity in toxic environments because they feed on it. They're like vampires. And it's kind of like your physical form of the astral parasite. They do very much the same thing, and they will entrap you. This is what astral parasites do. They entrap you, and they get you to trust them, and then they will start feeding off you. They'll start asking you to do some horrible things that you don't want to do, harm people, harm yourself, whatever it is, and creates more fear, more anxiety and everything else, and they just feed more and more and more until you get rid of them. Same with the people who do the same thing. Demon of Sophia, are you familiar with a 2009 book called Black Ship by an author Malthus? You mentioned from time to time various topics that are being analysed in the book. Great read, by the way. I have not. Where's my pen? I have to put that on my list now. Oh, the ever-growing list. The Black Ship. Sorry, let me write over there, otherwise it's going to sound really bad on the mic. Malthus. Thank you for the suggestion. Somebody else suggested another book in the comments earlier. Now I can't remember what it was. Looked interesting, so I'll go read that as well. Luke's Seth was very good before becoming a villain. Some beings are very fascinating. Yeah, as I said, I haven't interacted with Seth, so I'm not really sure what that kind of energy or nature is. But you do find that a lot of the entities, I think a lot of them, it's not just, a certain group of people who demonize them. the gods and etc. I think a lot of people will change their nature and create an offshoot egregore, almost, if I can call it that, which is part of the source but is different, slightly becoming different. So yeah, very, very difficult thing. Richard, I find Kali similar to Lilith and Hecate on some level, but they are not the same being. Their energies are very different. Yeah, I'd agree. And actually, interestingly enough, Lilith, I called Lilith once for my girlfriend, and when she appeared, it was like over the right shoulder, she looked exactly the same as Hecate appears for me, which I found quite interesting, but different. And again, this possibly comes down to, how we're going to, regarding polytheism, if we are hard polytheist or soft polytheist. A soft polytheist would probably say yes, they all are all the same goddess, just from different cultures or something like that. But I think they come from the same mold, the same archetype, and through different cultures they have become different entities. So they've kind of split off into two different entities which come from the same source and have evolved from there, possibly. There's many ways this can be done and seen and everything else. Johanna said, I had thee. I'm not sure what thee is. Tracy, thank you, Richard. I like Lilith as well. Lilith's cool. Alright, now the chat's gone quiet. We were doing pretty good there. I'm going to have a look for that book actually. I did put it in my Amazon. Oops, no, that says SMS. No, that says AMZ. I can't spell today. What's my wish list? It's called Luciferian Invocations, Calling the Ancient Gods by Anton Kruger. And funny enough, that name Anton Kruger's popped up before, so I'm very curious about that one. Thank you, Tracy. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that's the book that got suggested. I must go look for. What was it? The Black Ship. Let's go see what that's about. Type on the microphone. I don't think it's that Black Ship. Okay, well, I'm going to have to look for author as well, because there's lots of fiction. Malthus. No. Can't spell it down. Malthus. Ah, there we go. Bloody hell. The paperback version is $4,870. What did this guy write? My word. At least the Kindle's only $11.49. Crikey. Okay. Alright. I've seen expensive books before, but that's insane. Alright, let's get back to this. Luke's, you were right. I feel like the best way to get to know deities, beings, is to connect with them, work, have conversation, etc., or from people who work with them. Yeah, I think the step really is to do the research first, find out what other people have experienced and what they've said about them, just so you're kind of forearmed, forewarned type of thing. Then suspend all expectation and go talk to them, just yourself, and get to know them that way. But you're not going in there kind of blind, and you're not going in there without any information at all. So yeah, best way to do it, because as I was explaining earlier with my whole worldview idea and things like that, is that if we are our own, if each person is a universe that makes up a multiverse, and therefore we are connected, through that whole multiverse expansion. But if we are our own universe, then all of the spirits exist within our universe, and our experience, our perception of them is going to be the same as our perception of different people. Each person has a different perception of the same person that they're all interacting with. So it's the same with the spirits. We have our own experiences, we have our own perception, but there are similarities because they have their own universe. They exist within their own universe, and they have a perception of us. It goes both ways. So our interaction is going to be slightly different to somebody else's because it's personal. And we can speak about this in really simple terms by thinking of somebody you don't like. You have a very negative idea about who they are. You've got to have a very negative perception of who they are. But their best friend is going to have a completely different perception because they have a completely different relationship with them and a completely different interaction with them. So, same thing with the spirits really. It becomes a very personal thing. But I think when it starts to become a cultural interaction and the entity becomes something different to what it originally was, then you start to get these break-offs of egregores, which then form part of a group consensus. But again, even within that group, each person's going to have an individual reaction or experience with that spirit again. So layers upon layers upon layers. Tracy, book better come with some weed. Come with a lot more than that. Dragon of the West, do we need to have a solid magic worldview to do magic? No, absolutely not. In fact, your worldview should consistently be changing and shifting and developing and growing and strengthening as you continue, because the more you tread, the more you take on the journey, the more your own ideas are going to change. You're going to find things along the way that you thought were great, and now all of a sudden they don't fit into what you've developed, and therefore you either rebuild them, you strengthen them, or you reject them completely and bring something else on board and work with that for a while to create your own worldview. But no, you don't need a solid magical worldview, because I don't think a worldview is ever kind of solid. It's always changing, it's always in flux and motion, just like we are, just like the universe and the cosmos is. It's always changing, nothing is ever still. Okay. Well, I actually made a pot of tea. I'm not drinking very much. Luke's, do you have any idea why so many deities, beings want to work with me? And for example, Kronos is in my life since day one, 3 months ago, plus minus I realised it. They are always so helpful and kind for me. Can't really say. Again, this is an individual thing. I mean, some people don't work with deities at all. They don't work with any beings. They may believe in them, they believe they exist, but they don't work with them because they work with elemental energies or planetary energies, or just the energy around them or themselves. So, why they want to work, so many want to work with you, I can't really say myself. It would be impossible for me to say. Demonosphere, yes, paperback is off limits. On Kindle it's very affordable, great read, and we'll love it for sure. Okay, cool, yeah. I saw it's $11.49 on Kindle, so I will grab that at some stage as well. Which reminds me, if anybody wants to buy paperbacks from the American Amazon, then please follow the links to my Amazon storefront or something like that, because then I get a bit of a commission, which I then use to buy more books to review. So get that done. Yeah, Amazon's a bit weird in that regard, I found. I've had people in Canada who say that the affiliate link doesn't work, and it's because it's the American link. I have to sign up on. I mean, you've got your. God, how many countries have they got? Got America, Canada, UK. I know there's like a German and a Denmark, and all of these Italian, and all of these Amazons. They're all separate and individual. So I would have to sign up on each and every single one of them, connect my account to whatever it is, and then create links for all of them just to try and cover the international, to try and cover the world. It's really silly. They don't just have one. They just use an affiliate link, and it doesn't matter what country somebody goes to. Yeah. Anyway, I am bitching and moaning a bit. Luke's had flashback lately when I was in Egypt temple with Tomet and Sobek, and always when I saw them as a kid, I knew I know them, and then I connect to Sobek, and he was so happy. Anubis also joined. I'd definitely say you are going down the avenue of the Kemetic magic, the Egyptian. Yeah, it's funny actually, because I don't think everybody has this experience, but as I keep saying, I was never interested in Greek mythology at all, and the Greek gods or anything, and then Pan came along and okay, that's alright, Pan's kind of like that. I don't really actually associate him with the Greek. I know he comes from the Greek mythologies and Greek sources and things like that, but don't really associate him with the Greek. And then Hecate came along, and I eventually gave in, but then I keep getting pushed back to the Greek. I'm not really interested. I guess they have different ideas. Richard, what tea did you make? I wouldn't mind a spot of tea. It's chamomile, actually. I've got a pot. Here's my pot. It's my little pot. Holds 2 cups. Dragon of the West, do you need to have a solid relationship with the spirits before asking them for something, or is that for later on in the relationship? Just have a sip. I would say yes. You should have a good relationship with them before you start asking them stuff. A bit like if you were making friends with somebody new in your life. You kind of like, the first day you meet them, you don't want to go and ask them for $10 or something. You kind of build a relationship, and then you can start passing things back and forth. But obviously that's not the case for a lot of people. You have the people who do work with Solomonic grimoires, specifically as it's written, ceremonial magicians, etc., who stick with that format, and this is where they start trapping and binding and threatening the spirits, and forcing them to do stuff, and they don't want a relationship with those spirits because they have very much of a Christian worldview where they see them as the evil spirits, the demons. In some cases that's developed a little bit further, and not really evil spirits, but they don't have your best interest at heart and all of that stuff. So they don't consider the demons to be in the same I'm going to use the word realm, but it doesn't feel right, but in the same realm as the angelic beings or the gods and goddesses. They consider them to be lower. I don't at all. So yeah, I don't do the trapping and binding and the Solomonic stuff. I build relationships with the spirits. It doesn't matter what spirit it is. As long as it's a divine intelligence, then I will build a relationship with it if we have something that we can actually build. In a lot of cases we don't have something we can build, and I think this is where we need to kind of realize that it is very similar to meeting people. You might meet somebody and you just don't click. You've got no interests, you've got nothing you want to share, and therefore you don't build a relationship with them. Then all of a sudden somebody comes along and they want to be your best friend, and you go, I don't really want to do that. Same thing. You don't have to, if a spirit comes to you and says, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, you can say no. There's no harm in that. to excuse the car outside. It's a loud one. So, you don't have to do everything the spirits say. And sometimes you want to work with a spirit and there's just nothing there. There's just no connection, and that's perfectly fine as well. But yeah, my personal view is, yes, build a good relationship with a spirit before you start demanding things from them. And usually it's not demanding, it is I'm giving you, feeding you, I'm giving you some energy, I love you, I'm giving you devotion. Can you help me with something? Can you guide me in a particular direction? Can you push a little button over here or a little button over there, and then see how that goes? But yeah, that's my approach. Anyway, Demonosphere Greek Pantheon is haunting you, Lee. Yes, it is. Has been for a very, very, very long time. Yolandi, I hope everyone watched Chaos. It was excellent. It was. Hope there is a season 2. I'm sure there will be. But yeah, that was really a good show. And I love the way they kind of brought the whole concept into kind of a modern telling of it, but they kept all of the old mythology and storytelling. It was lovely. Absolutely loved it. And I love that Hero was turning all of the women, the mortal women that Zeus was impregnating into bees. That was funny. That was cool. Alright, sorry if you can hear the car outside. It's not going anywhere by the sounds of it. Alright. Everyone's gone quiet. Let me see if anybody's still here. Yeah, looks like everybody's still here. We can carry on. If you've got any questions, anything like that, just throw it in. Oh, goodness. I'm going to change the music to the... It's guitar rock 60s to 70s Sunday evening. There we go. Oops. Tracy, thank you, Lee. I hope everyone has a good week. Gotta go get supper ready. Okay, have a good time. Yeah, this Sunday, isn't it? What on earth are these people doing that stuff? Yeah, have a good one. Thanks for joining. Luke's speaking up about Egypt. Neith is also fire, Sagittarius, and while I connected, I went in such deep state, and when I was awake, it was marked like a bow in my arm. Cool. Hope it was a good experience. Demonosphere, I agree to Uncle Lee. Working with demons is like friendships. Some work, some just don't, and that's fine. Yeah. I think, I was talking about this with somebody else recently. We don't actually even need to work with spirits, and I think this is something we also need to remember, especially in community of people that are here. Is that not everybody works with spirits, and we don't have to work with spirits. And I think a lot of people have this idea that in order to accomplish something in life, you have to work with a spirit. And as I said, in this particular community, it's usually daemons. But we don't need to work with spirits at all. Magic can be done just as successfully with ourselves. Our own energy, or you can incorporate the energy of the elements, or the energy of the planets. There's loads and loads and loads of different sources of energy that we can draw in to resonate at the same frequency, same vibration. But even in regards to working with spirits, a lot of people do come from this Christian background, Christian worldview. And because you kind of relied on this man in the clouds type of thing, and you had this intermediary priest or minister who would bring the word of God to you, but this is how you kind of did things. you had to have the blessing of the church, you have to have the blessing of this spirit in the sky type of thing, then we kind of get the idea that we have to find a spirit in order to help us. We don't. We absolutely do not. If they come onto your radar at some point and you want to work with them, fine. And I think a lot of people consider me to hold, or my main model of magic is the spirit model, and it's not. My main model is the energy model. Even when I'm working with spirits, it's all about resonating at the same frequency as the spirit themselves, which is why I bring them in. And it's usually not a possession invocation, it's usually, what some people call evocation, where you're bringing them into the space. And then the energy is kind of enveloping me, and I can start resonating at that same vibration, and then move forward to accomplish a particular task. But that's working with the energy of the spirit, and I think that becomes very different to the spirit model, where you are going to the spirit and saying, please can you help me with X, Y, and Z. Similar but kind of different. But I think this is what we need to remember. We don't have to work with spirits, and even if we do, sometimes that's just not going to work out. We just don't click with a particular energy, and this is why there are so many spirits. I think you go through the Goetia and you find like you want to do something, find hidden treasure, and you've got like maybe 5 or 6 in the Goetia that can do exactly the same thing, but they all have different energies. One might have a particular death energy about them, one might have a particular sexual energy about them, because they also, besides doing this one thing, they also work in these other areas. So which one do you click with? And that's kind of what you're looking at. Can you do you find that the vibration of this particular thing to be enjoyable? Do you find it to resonate with you? Well, not really resonate, because you're going to bring yourself into a different resonance by working with them, but can you work with that particular energy around you? And it's the same with people. We find you just don't click with people, you just don't like their vibration, their energy, and everything else. So but anyway, how's the so below? Still here, multitasking, reading about the Baal cycle. Oh, cool. Okay. Luke's course. Thank you so much for being here. You are truly amazing. Oh, thank you. I don't think I'm very amazing myself, but thank you. You sharing knowledge, interacting with people. Love it. I wish you all the best in life. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yolandi, what do you do if a demon wants to work with you, but you don't like the demon? You don't work with it. Yeah. Right. Dominosphere said you can deny in a respectful manner, and that's really okay. Yeah. You don't have to work with the spirits at all. Whatever spirit comes to you. And in some cases, it may be angelic beings that you don't want to work with. It may be demonic forces. It may be fae, it may be gods and goddesses from a particular pantheon. You don't have to work with them. And it's actually kind of similar to the discussion we often have with ancestors. When we think about ancestors, a lot of people think that it's just blood relatives, and it's all of your blood relatives. That's not the case. Ancestors are people we've loved in life, and they do not have to be part of our blood family, part of that blood relative thing. And it's people we love, teachers, all of those things. But the question often gets asked, I had an uncle who was abusive. I don't want him to be in my ancestral sphere. And you don't. You reject them. You get to decide. So yeah, when it's anything, whether it's gods, goddesses, angels, demons, etc., 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 if you don't want to work with them, you don't have to work with them. And yeah, do it in a respectful manner. I don't like your energy. I prefer not to work with you. So really, kind of that simple. The Fat Muppet, can you use feces sausage in a love working? I wouldn't, no. I'm assuming you're talking about either the feces itself or putting feces into a sausage and then eating it. I wouldn't do that, no, because it's full of bacteria and horrible things that can probably make you and somebody else very, very ill. And when it comes to tag locks, it is... what happened to my live? Am I still streaming? Yes, I am. Sorry, my whole screen just disappeared. But I think I am still streaming. Let's see what happens. Yeah, you're all still here. Okay. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. Yeah. No, I mean, the reason I'm entertaining this question is because it has actually come up in reference to tag locks. We talk about using urine and bodily fluids and all of this stuff, but we generally don't use feces. I'm not entirely sure why. It's a waste product, same as urine, but it's just. I think it's just probably something we don't want to handle. So why would we handle it when we've got all these other options available to us? But yeah, that's if I'm assuming that's what we're talking about here. Let me know if it's not. Yeah. It's a pleasure. If you're going to do, if you actually want to use a tag lock in love workings, there's so many options. There really is. And if it's something you want to add to consumption, you can add sexual fluids. There is the whole law of adding menstrual blood to entrap a man to drinks and foods and stuff like that. It has also been noted that that's kind of dangerous. Obviously it's added in very, very small amounts, so it becomes, it's not like a cup full of menstrual blood or something like that, but it's not really something I would do. Well, I can't do myself because I don't have a menstrual cycle, but if I did, it wouldn't be something I would do myself because I would consider it a bit unsafe. I don't want to take that risk, basically. But you can use... I keep getting disconnected and reconnected by the looks of it. Okay, I think I'm still here. Okay, reconnected successfully. So yeah, so I did speak about tag locks recently. I think it's on an upcoming Ask Uncle Lee. Demonosphere, everything froze. Yeah, I don't know what went on. Suddenly my YouTube screen just disappeared. I think we're back and going strong again. As above, so below. I've always wondered, since the Goetia is a Christian-based grimoire, wouldn't we consider those sigils for the demons to be disrespectful? I'm not sure, actually. They respond well. So there's no negative response from the spirits themselves. So I wouldn't say they consider it to be disrespectful. But I get what you're saying. And this is the other thing. When we talk about the Solomonic grimoires, they weren't even written by King Solomon. They were written by other people who have worked with particular spirits in a particular way, who have contributed or dedicated their grimoire to King Solomon. And that's why we talk about the Solomonic grimoires, because there's so many of them. Obviously there are other grimoires, but they weren't written by Solomon, so we don't really know how Solomon worked. I have also seen an opinion that the books like the Ars Goetia were actually written by the demons themselves to entrap humans. to get them to trust the spirits, and therefore eventually bring them down. So another opinion, yeah. No, regarding the sigils themselves, they don't seem to be disrespectful. Some people will work with the sigils in a circle, some people will not. The reason for that is that it's a personal thing, I think. But the circle is sometimes considered to be a container, and a lot of people don't like that. So they'll work with the sigil without the circle. And if you look at the original sources themselves, the original books, and you can find these on, I think I did link to this previously, but I'll do it again. It's on Twilight Grotto. Let me just get the link. It's I'll put the link in the chat. Because you've got all the original grimoires on here. And it's interesting because the sigils themselves aren't as rigid as we see in Mather's and Crowley's versions. And what you actually find if you do work with these particular sigils, the original ones, they're very kind of organic almost, and you kind of draw them over and over again. And there's almost a pattern starts to emerge on which lines to draw next type of thing. But then you just keep drawing over the lines over and over and over again, and it takes you into a trance. You'll probably start to see the sigil flashing, and then you can really make a good strong connection with the spirit using the sigil. I don't use the sigils a lot myself. I like to use the ends because I like to use sound a lot. Demonosophy, we're back. Yes, we're back. The Fat Muppets, what do you mean when they say curses come back? Will curses against people who wronged you really come back? That doesn't seem right. I wouldn't say that at all. I believe there has to be an equilibrium in all things. So if somebody has done something to you and you're returning doing a counter curse type of thing, then that's creating a balance, an equilibrium. Of course, it depends on the situation. If you've done something to them and therefore they're doing something back to you, that's the balance. So if you go and do something back to them, you're creating an imbalance. Therefore, something's going to come back again and again and again. So it's really just about creating balance for me. That's how I see it anyway. A lot of people, it depends on tradition, on personal opinion again. Curses coming back to you. There's the law of return, there's the Wiccan threefold law, all of these ethical interpretations. So, it depends on your belief as well at the end of the day. But for me, it really is about creating balance. Right, I think people are starting to, either start their day or go to bed. So I think we'll call it a day or a night or an evening or a morning or wherever you are. And I might be doing this every week. I'm not sure at this point. I just need to check that I can commit to it. Yeah, we might be doing this every Sunday, same time. Alright, so I'll hopefully see you next week, but yeah, I'll schedule it anyway so you can see and you can put it on your diary, set the alert or alarm or whatever it is on YouTube. Okay, and thank you for joining. Oh, I'm not sure why you retracted all your messages. They were good messages. As above, so Fat Muppet, thanks, pleasure. As above, so below. Chisley, always blast, good stuff. Arena, thank you. Lee and everyone, it was fun as always. That's good stuff. Despite scary soup talk. Keep you complete. Thank you. It's a pleasure. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Cheers for now. Bye bye.